One of the reasons I really enjoy cryptids is you often get a Lumberjack Cryptid that's so outrageous that it's almost certainly not true and it makes you laugh. But then once in a while you also get one that's incredibly outrageous and makes you laugh, but at the same time there are little hints of information that means it could very well be true, and that's fascinating. And today we're going to talk about the Oomph. The Oomph is a Lumberjack Cryptid, or fearsome critter, said to live across the United States. It's a predatory creature. Not so much in the case of humans, but definitely in the face of fellow animals. Not large animals, but mainly birds. It's large, spotted, lizard-like, and nearly the size of a dog. It's said to have sharp spines all down its back, as well as big spots all over itself. It mainly eats partridge eggs, and this is where it gets its most interesting, well-known trait. Once it finds its meal, it makes a loud guttural noise that sounds like Oomph, Oomph. The first mention of the Oomph we get is in the book Yarns of the Big Woods by Arthur Childs. Segments of which are often written much like a story. According to the book, down by the old logging road, Mrs. Partridge was sitting on her nest. At the approach of danger, she scuttled off the nest and hid in the underbrush. The intruders counted 14 pretty eggs. There's a raspberry patch a little further down, remarked the guide, and I think there's another nest near it. Want to take a look? The tenderfoot followed him eagerly. There was the nest, sure enough, but all the eggs were gone. Only a few shells left. The guide shook his head sadly. It's the Oomph's work, he explained. He's a hard-looking animal, the worst enemy the birds have in nesting season. There's a big bounty on the Oomph, but he's sly and hard to get. In case y'all see an animal about as big as a dog, but looking like a cross between a big lizard and a toad with long claws, and with sharp spines all along his back, and big spots all over him, get him quick. He's an Oomph. He goes around hunting birds' nests, and when he finds one, he makes noise deep down in his throat that sounds like Oomph, Oomph. That's how the old boy gets his name. In addition, there are multiple different kinds of Oomph described according to the folklore and mythology. One version of the Oomph is aquatic, but funnily enough it actually lives out in the desert, so I'm not sure what's happening there, but maybe it knows something we don't. This version is a cat-sized, aquatic reptile that has webbed feet and 6 large fangs. Its spots are actually warts, its diet consists of water beetles and kippered salmon. At one stage it was allegedly killed with a mouse trap, and its head alone weighed 47 pounds, so definitely not a creature small in size. The second version is the forest Oomph, a creature with bony black spines that act like a buzzsaw, and when they impact on something, it makes the Oomph sound as a result. Its diet consists mainly of sawdust, and it collects it by taking itself to the top of a hill and throwing itself at trees, rolling and rolling all the way until its back spines saw the tree down, resulting in the oomphing sound it makes. Interestingly enough, this sound is said to sound like a fat man being punched in the stomach. Then we have the marsh Oomph, of which very little is known, and the rock Oomph. And yes, as you'd imagine, it bases its life around rocks. In fact, its life consists of eating lava and rocks, and it predominantly makes its home around rocks. It's said to have been repulsed in horror by the sight or sensation of radium-faced watches. Curiously enough, it was also said to have resembled a diplodocus, and also the snallygoster, or snollygoster, a crocodile-like cryptid that was said to propel its way through swamps with a propeller-like tail, lying in wait for its prey, at which point it would spear them on a huge spine protruding from its back, then use the propeller tail to chop them up and eat them. It was said that a party attempted to shoot the rock Oomph, but it ended up somehow actually detecting the gun blast before the bullet could easily leave the barrel, and instantly bounded away. So what are we to make of this? Not only is this Oomph very unique, but it actually has different species with different traits for different regions. Not something we're usually used to seeing from cryptids, generally speaking. They tend to be one unique species confined to one unique region. So what could the Oomph be? Well, it definitely sounds like some kind of lizard, and it definitely sounds more real than some cryptids. Lizards tend to eat eggs, they make noises when they're threatened, and they also tend to be very large. And remember that the Komodo dragon had been discovered in 1910, 12 years before this was written, and it was definitely much larger than a dog. It seems to fit all the traits of a lizard, and furthermore there's a little something that's just incredible to think about. The rock Oomph was said to hate radium-faced watches and to avoid them. This is at least 2 decades before we knew about rocks and about radiation in general. 2 decades before we knew about radiation, its effects, its details, which is another detail that makes it just that little bit more believable. Especially also when we think about how it somehow detected the bullet being fired from the gun and dodged away. Could it somehow read radio waves, read frequencies? We don't know. But what do you guys think? Do any of you have any tales of this? Have your families ever heard of any tales about this? Have you heard of any folk tales or sightings? Please post those in the comment section below. If you have any more information about the Oomph as well, I would love to know it because there's not a huge wealth of it. Without further ado, I hope to see you in the next episode.